Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and there's a big Brian Robinson update. Of course, I'm gonna also update y'all on everything that's been going on and what happened with the situation, investigation, all of that type of stuff. But the most important thing is that running back Brian Robinson has made the official 53-man roster. We're gonna talk about what that means. Will he be ready by week 1? All of that type of stuff. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, make sure every Friday after I get back, broadcast podcast show at 7 p.m. talk about everything funny, sports, music, anime, gaming, whatever. And then also, of course, every Sunday, the during the game live streams and also the post game live streams an hour after the game ends, where it's a call-in show. Open up the phone lines, y'all call in, say whatever you have positive or negative about the Commanders. And without further ado, let's get it. All right, so like I said, running back Brian Robinson, rookie out of Alabama, who's right now, with the way it looked after preseason, probably RB1 over Antonio Gibson, has made the 53-man roster, which is amazing from everything that's happened recently. That is a crazy turn of events within just a couple of days. He is on the 53-man roster. Ron Rivera just couple of days ago, just yesterday, even spoke about how they may need to consider PUP or IR or the NFI, the non-football injury related list. Like, they were considering like all kinds of possibilities, and all of those possibilities included him having to miss a minimum of 4 games. But the fact that he made the 53-man roster tells you everything you need to know. Now, will he be ready week 1? I doubt it, and definitely there's no need to force him back. I'm going to keep saying this, though. The Jaguars and the Lions are not sweet just because they look like lesser teams compared to a lot of other teams in the NFL. Other teams are looking at us the same way, but at the same time, if there were games that you could afford to not have Brian Robinson present, it would probably be the Jaguars and the Lions game. So don't force him back. But again, the fact that he's making the 53-man roster and not starting on the NFI shows that he should be ready to play within the first 4 weeks. Again, not sure if he'll be ready by week 1, because that would be miraculous, but at least he should be here at some point during these first 4 weeks. And that's also a big deal because we're out here making tough cuts. Some of the guys we're cutting, they really wanted to keep. And there are a lot of guys that it's already been reported by John Com and other reporters that some of the guys that they cut, like Jared Patterson, they really hope he makes it back to the practice squad. They're really hoping that nobody else claims him. So there were a lot of tough decisions made with a lot of the guys that they cut, and they easily could have opened up another roster spot by placing Brian Robinson on the NFI. And the fact that they didn't shows that he should be back way sooner than what people expected. And they also want him to contribute. That means that they're depending on him. The fact that they're not willing to open up a roster spot for somebody else that they really wanted shows that, man, as soon as Brian Robinson's ready to go, he's going. We love Antonio Gibson, and we're hoping that he can contribute in a lot of different ways, especially in the passing game. But we want Brian Robinson to probably be our primary running back right now. And then also Brian Robinson being available, especially sooner rather than later, means that Antonio Gibson can continue being our starting kick returner. Because Ron Rivera announced like a week ago that Antonio Gibson will be our starting kick returner, but then with the Brian Robinson situation, that responsibility may have been taken away from Antonio Gibson because it was looking like he was going to have to be our straight up just RB1, no competition. JD McKissick is your third down back, but you may not have wanted to put Antonio Gibson in harm's way of doing returns with him being your number 1 back, which is why he hasn't been our kick returner since we drafted him. But then once you bring in a Brian Robinson, that allows you to use Antonio Gibson more in the passing game and on kickoffs as well. So Brian Robinson being back way sooner than expected is great news in a lot of different ways, even just outside of Brian Robinson. But first and foremost, just thank goodness for him, because when I first heard the news, I was just worried about whether or not he'd be able to walk again and things like that. Of course, his life, but even after that, like, will he be able to play football again? And so the fact that not only will he play football again, and then it was looking like he should be able to play this season, now it looks like he should definitely be able to play within the first 4 weeks. Because again, you would put him on the NFI to create an open roster spot for one of those players that they really had a tough time cutting if you felt like he couldn't play within the first 4 weeks. I mean, and this is just a crazy turn of events. He was just shot Sunday, he was released from the hospital Monday, and then he was brought into the team facility today, this morning, to meet with doctors to see where he was at physically and things like that. And the fact that he made the 53-man roster definitely says a lot. But just some further details that you may already know, but I was not able to update in my first initial video when talking about Brian Robinson. He was shot in the glute and the lower leg, both non-threatening, of course. It was a Glock 43, according to the DC police. Apparently, he wrestled the gun away from one person, and then the other person shot him in the lower body twice. And also, Ron Rivera, in his press conference yesterday, said that he, Dan and Tanya Snyder, Martin Mayhew, Jason Wright, and Randy Jordan, the running backs coach, were among those. I mean, not those weren't even all the people, but those were some of the notable people that went to go visit Brian Robinson on Sunday. Of course, a few players went as well. It was also really interesting too because Ron Rivera said that he just so happened to be watching film on the running backs with running backs coach Randy Jordan when he got the call about the situation, and then they both immediately went to the hospital. And then also yesterday in Ron Rivera's press conference, he was very serious about his stance on gun violence. He said, quote, "We really got to start getting to the point where we start talking about gun safety, and we can't make this a partisan issue. It just shows you it can happen anywhere and to anybody. So it's just something that we need to work on and come together to be able to solve," unquote. And then Ron Rivera also wore an orange shirt at his presser, signifying his support for gun safety measures. And I like a quote from Jonathan Allen from yesterday as well. He said, quote, "The most important thing is that he's safe. He'll be mad at us if we let the situation affect us," unquote. And that's a good point because Brian Robinson, you could tell by his personality, and really most people wouldn't want the team to even have this in the back of their minds. Go out there, focus on football, and get this week 1 W against the Jaguars. But now it's looking like Brian Robinson will probably be available. And shouts out to Brian Robinson for going on his IG to share a picture to give an update to all of the fans that were very worried about him. And again, all is well that ends well. It looks like he should be good to go. Like I've been saying, the football part is extra. His life, family, everything was the most important part, but it's also additional great news that it looks like he should be ready to go within the first 4 weeks. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section, let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. And of course, man, I appreciate all of the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Man, I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna keep y'all updated with everything going on with the roster, Brian Robinson, everything. Catch y'all later. I'm out.